If you want to build foundational stability and strength, I highly recommend incorporating isometrics into your training routine. This is a great training stimulus and it's a safe training stimulus. Isometrics are exercises where you hold a position for a given period of time under tension. You're able to log that time under tension with something that's easy to get into, definitely not easy to stay in. The simplicity allows you to really engage with the training, with the positions, which sometimes can get lost when the exercises are so complicated or so complex. Another huge benefit of isometrics is developing tissue tolerance and joint integrity without a ton of impact. You're logging time under tension, you're in relationship with gravity, you're establishing that training stimulus that's going to provide some development of that connective tissue, which is going to support your joints. And while isometrics aren't the sexiest exercise, they do really help you improve muscular endurance and give you a better understanding of how your body stacks. So this is going to support your posture, this is going to support your alignment and better connecting with your body. When you do this, your movement becomes more effective and also more efficient, which is huge when we want to play, when we want to compete and stay active, stay healthy, and limit risk of injury. You could bang out a bunch of push-ups and you could get a good training stimulus, but when you really slow things down and get still in certain parts, you start to better understand the movement. You're able to feel what's lengthening, what's shortening, and with that, establish a newfound trust with these positions, which is going to translate to way better stimulus when you get into those push-ups. Let's talk types of isometrics. The most common one you're going to see is yielding isometrics. That's simply a static hold in a particular position that you want to connect with. Common ones of this are going to be different types of planks, a squat hold, a wall sit. I really like an iso lunge, opening up those hips, tapping into that split stance position. Hinges are great to develop that back chain connection and also decompression through the spine. So you could really do this with anything. And within those isometrics, you can find different positions or different angles that you want to hit. That could be going into a chin up and finding a spot that doesn't really feel that connected, and you're going to hold that, you're going to breathe, and you're going to allow the body the opportunity to figure that out. Another common one is the overcoming isometric. This is when you're going to be exerting max effort into a particular object. So you'll see this a lot of times with straps, where somebody might be going into like a deadlift, but they can't really move it. Sometimes people will do this with barbells where they fix them in certain positions and they're pressing against them. You could also do this against a wall. You could do this against a rock. You could do it a bunch of different ways. But the big thing here is that you're applying that max effort and that object isn't going to move. An overcoming isometric for me right now is a particular single arm hang and trying to pull there. Now, at some point, that might become a yielding isometric where I start to get some range and I can find some different spots in that. There could be exercises that right now you're trying to overcome, and then in the future, they might be another type of exercise for you. There's also oscillatory isometrics. This is where you find a particular range of motion, a position that you want to develop stability and connection to, and you're going to essentially pulse around that, right? So this could be getting down into a lunge and having a really small range of motion where you're pulsing up and down, developing a lot of connection in terms of movement in and out of that position. So that's the physical stuff. Now I'm going to go into the mental and emotional stuff, and I encourage you to stay with me here because this is where I found so much benefit in training isometrics. This is why a lot of people avoid isometrics. There is no hiding. You've got to be present, you've got to be self-aware, and you got to be mindful of what you're doing. And because we're holding these positions and finding a sense of stillness, what comes up? A lot of mental chatter, sometimes some self-criticism, some perfectionism. Oh, this hip is supposed to be here, or my shoulder feels a little funky. You might notice some emotional patterns, some reactivity. You might start to tense up. And this is a great opportunity to navigate all of that noise. I know the exercises are simple, but what's going on up here? It can get pretty crazy, especially when you're shaking, especially when you're getting short of breath and your body feels like it wants to give up. Do you have that resilience? Do you have that tolerance? Do you have that endurance, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally to show up and hold those positions? This is going to develop a deeper sense of self-acceptance and trust. And when you're holding one of these positions for a given period of time, you've got to stay calm under that stress. You've got to stay calm under that noise and that stimulus. And through this process, you are strengthening the connection between your body, your mind, your breath, and your emotions. Now, I can talk about the different types of isometrics. I can talk about all the benefits of isometrics, but to fully appreciate their impact, you must personally experience isometrics. As I already mentioned, they require you to be honest and present with yourself, acknowledging the physical sensations, emotions, and mental narratives all at the same time. And this is going to be truly unique to you. When you show up and practice isometrics regularly, you're going to connect with yourself physically and, more importantly, mentally and emotionally, building that self-trust. I do want to talk about a few common mistakes. When you address these early on, you're going to have a way better experience with isometric training. The first one is excessive tension and holding your breath. I know you're holding a position, but you gotta relax. You gotta breathe. And when you do this, you're gonna start to tap into the necessary amount of effort that's required for the given task. And this is gonna lead to that efficiency that I was talking about. At first, it's really easy to get distracted by the shakes and all the different sensations in your body, the mental chatter, the feelings that you wanna quit, but you gotta breathe through it, relax into it, relax into that tension. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it starts to make sense the more you show up for it. Another common mistake is poor stacking and alignment through the body. This is going to be a process, showing up consistently, making those adjustments on the fly, finding what feels good, more connected, and ultimately what's going to lead you to a better sense of balance and center that you can relax into, despite maintaining a lot of tension through your body. The big one is going to be maintaining a strong connection between your rib cage and your pelvis. It's often called a stack. That's what's really going to establish this strong sense of our breath that's going to allow us to stabilize on both the inhale and the exhale. We're also going to be able to leverage that pressure through our levers, our arms and our legs. So let's say I go into a horse stance and I sink down real low, but my rib cage is flaring out, I'm arching my back, and I don't have this nice container of pressure. I'm not really going to be able to own that deep position. I've got to maintain that and gradually sink deeper into the position. So if all this sounds good and you want to start incorporating isometrics into your training, here's what I recommend. Pick 3 positions or movements that you want to feel more confident in. Let's go with a push-up iso hold, squat iso hold, and a lunge iso hold. These are going to be movements that I know a lot of you out there want to build confidence in. Hit these exercises for 2 to 3 times a week. You can perform these exercises in a row, holding, resting, holding, resting, holding, resting, and then hitting that for 3 to 5 sets. Another strategy that I really like is pairing it with another movement, something that is a little bit more bouncy or involves a lot more movement. I'll do like an iso lunge, hold that on the left side, go into crawling for 45 seconds, and then hold that on the right side. Then I'll go into the rest period. When you're first starting out, let's shoot for 10 to 30 seconds. And as that stability, that connection, that strength builds, you can increase the length of those durations. If at any time you start slipping into those bad habits of holding your breath, holding on to excess tension, or trying to create as much tension as possible, or not really being aware of your body's positioning in space, not really understanding your stack and your alignment, I want you to 1, take a little bit more rest. You might just need to recover a bit more. And 2, scale things back. Change the position to something that's more accessible, and also come back to a duration of that interval that makes more sense for you. Last thing I want to talk about before we get out of here is the power of intent. While you're holding these isometric positions, you are shaping your experience with your intention. So if I'm hanging out in my iso squat with my thighs about parallel with the ground, I want to create some different experience. I could intend to stand up. I could intend to move upward out of that. So I drive through the ground very slowly, if at all, creating some movement out of that. That changes the experience of the exercise. I could also switch that intention and I could start to pull deeper into the squat and sense what that experience is like. I bring this up because it's a great way to add a little creativity to these isometrics, which can be challenging to endure. And it's also going to allow you to tap into new connections through your body. We can also have some mental or emotional intentions as we go through these exercises. I already talked about it. You want to build that confidence, that trust, and that presence in your body. Those are translatable skills to the rest of your life. So we can reinforce that beneficial story, mental narrative that's going on in our head with statements of strength and connection and who we're becoming. I know this is a little out there, but when I'm holding these positions, I'm looking to squeeze a lot of juice out of it. Not so much from all this tension, more so from the intention. This is your opportunity to channel your energy into what you want to build. Physically, mentally, emotionally, tap into that person that you want to be. And when in doubt, when you're really challenged by isometrics, I want you to come back to these 3 simple intentions. Number 1, apply the necessary amount of effort. This will allow you to be effective with the exercise and build that efficiency over time. Number 2, let your body hold you. Connect with your posture, that stacking of your bones, that alignment through your body. This is going to alleviate that unnecessary tension. And number 3, you guessed it, breathe. This is what's going to allow you to relax into that tension. You'll be able to manage the intensity, calm the nervous system while it's under stress, and improve performance when you're in these positions. There you have it, a quick guide to isometrics. You just saw me go through a bunch of those exercises in the video, so you've got some ideas and you've got a simple strategy to implement. But if you do need more support with your training, you want to hop in one of my programs, I encourage you to check the description below. You can hop in the Smoov app. You can also book a call with me and we can chat about some options. That's all I've got for you in this one. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like it, subscribe to the channel, and leave us a comment below. If you have any further questions, drop them down there. I'll see you next time. Stay smooth.